Hey team, I can't find an appropriate place for my camera, so I'm putting it on the floor. I'm sorry. I apologize for my mess. But that is real life, so let's go. What are we talking about today in this seminar? So I really wanted to make a video about the end of the decade. I know a lot of people have been doing that on writing, lists of the 20 best things that happened this decade. What this decade is gonna be remembered for. I want to make one that's a bit more personal. So things that I care about, what this decade has meant to me. Basically, this decade has meant everything to me because I started this decade as a teenager. I had just pretty much arrived in London. I have had my first breakup. My first actual, I've had really bizarre relationships, but I consider that breakup to be my first adult relationship. That wasn't just a crazy God knows what. So that's the first thing that happened to me. I was living in London alone for the first time back in 2010. The first 2 years of London were a whirlwind. They were just like a roller coaster. I was meeting so many people. It was all new. I was really self-absorbed. I thought, I was not a very good person. Not a very nice person, I remember feeling like, in a way, it was good because I remember feeling like everything was possible. But I also remember feeling I didn't care about things too much. And I had some strange behaviors. Like I remember with my first boyfriend, or even I didn't carry a wallet for the first year and a half I was in London. This all has explanations. I've had a very strange life. But I did some weird stuff and I used to dress really weird. I feel like, honestly, I will talk about this a bit more later, but the reason why I was dressing weird is because for a while my physical self was meant to be a mirror of my inner self. My inner self has been through some dark shit, and I needed to get the attention through that. Now, over the last decade, I have evolved in a way that I don't need that attention. I actually don't want that attention. So in the last 5 years, maybe what I have done is, instead of trying to replicate how I feel inside, I have tried to dress as anonymous as possible. So within limits, I still have my moments, and I still, obviously, the way I like dressing the most is like I feel inside. That's obvious. If I could, I would go around with some crazy things. Like I would go around with bunny ears. I would go around completely naked. I would go around with a mask. I would wear long opera gloves, and part of me really still wants to do that, and the other part of me still does that in the privacy of my apartment. But I don't know why I don't feel as much as doing it in public. I don't feel like, I don't want the attention. I don't know, I've become a bit more secretive maybe about that. I've become more of a private person, I think. And I've always been private in the sense that I have never shared, for example, in the internet. I've had a public persona for as long as I can remember, because I was doing selfies, as soon as I could do them. And then the internet came out when I was like 10. As soon as I could get on the internet, I did. As soon as I could have a website, I did. So I have had several websites. This was way before the decade. I don't know why I'm talking about this. But the thing is, I've been in the public eye as much as I could forever. It's always been something that I wanted to do, but it wasn't so much me. I always like creating. I like creating a persona. I like acting. I like providing a service. My first websites, sure, I was taking selfies to show people my makeup and my body. That's how it all started. But then I was also interested in making stuff. So it wasn't so much as to show myself, it was more to create something of interest. That has always been my objective anyway. So to just show myself inside, I've never actually done that. I've never actually used Instagram or my videos or the internet. I have kind of dabbled into it when I felt social pressure, but I work a lot better when I make introspective videos. I think you will agree. I am a very emotionally just independent person, even physically. Like, I like to be alone by myself. I have things to do. I have things to think about by myself alone. And I like to share it to an anonymous public. I enjoy that. I feel like there's no limits in that. There's no judgment. Like, nobody's judging me right now. You will judge me later. But at this moment, I don't have anybody here with me. I'm by myself. I'm really good at that. I like that a lot. I'm the kind of person, I've always had a diary. You know, I'm not the kind of person that needs that social company or social interaction. I haven't put my boyfriends in my, never, like, anywhere. I don't even show, people never know who I'm dating. You know, I'm so private. People don't know how my family looks, or a lot of them. Not by my own decision anyway. If it has come out, maybe it has come out, and at times I'm like, oh, you're so pretty, I want to photograph you, or sometimes randomly I want to put a photograph of somebody. But as a general rule, I like keeping things really private. So that's something that I have, in one way it has benefited me, because it has allowed me to make up personas, which I still do. I still make up, you know, half of the stuff I say is embellished in some way. Or on the internet, I like to be a certain persona, and I have fun with it. It's like a script. It's like making a script. And that's something that has really developed over the past decade. At the beginning, it was really weird. And now I have this thing where in public, I'm anonymous, but then I talk about what's going on inside. And the people who really know me, they know the weirdness that's underneath everything. And I live for that weirdness, you know, so it's not like I haven't been tamed at all. I just show different things. I show different creations, and I show different facets. All of us, we are so I mean, what was Natasha Lyonne? I was watching an interview with her the other day, and she was saying, I think it's healthy or I like people who have at least two personalities going on at the same time. And I feel that way as well. I like people, and I am like that. I need to have a few personalities going on at the same time, and that's normal for me and natural, and feels good, and, you know. In this decade, I have learned to be so much more socially inclusive, in the sense that before, like around 2012 to maybe last year, I really struggled getting people together from different circles. And I'm the kind of person, I get along with people from many different backgrounds. I am besties with aristocrats, I am besties with rock stars, I am besties with starving people, artists of every path, really religious people, really non-religious people. I think the people that I go with are all pretty extreme in what they are. So the thing is, even though I get along really well with each one of them and their friend groups, I was always really hesitant to put them all together. But, you know, in recent years, I have learned to invite them all together and see what happens, and it hasn't been half bad. I mean, yes, there have been some fights. Like, I remember a birthday couple of birthdays. I usually invite all my friends to my birthday, not my boyfriends though, because you know, you don't want to get I think it's just respectful to keep people separate in that sort of atmosphere, especially if you're seeing a couple of people or people have overlapped or that kind of thing. I'm very open, but I wouldn't invite them all at the same time. So I don't invite anybody that I am seeing or have recently been seeing, or even if they are XXX, like from many years ago, sometimes I'll invite them, but it has caused problems, because I remember one birthday where one of my exes from a long time ago, he had a real rough time with one of my current friends, and also they got really drunk and that didn't help the situation. And then so I didn't invite either of them. I don't know, usually I do a little cool, so if somebody has misbehaved one birthday, then the next birthday I don't invite them or something like that. Or if I see that somebody, it's really difficult, the whole tension with people who want to sleep with you. I find that just really uncomfortable, because for me it's all really natural and I can be nice to everybody, and I don't feel like guys can manage. It's like they have to have this propriety, this ownership to one person, and they can't diverse from that. I'm not like that. So anyway, I have learned to put my friends together, whether they like it or not. What else have I learned? This is gonna be more of like what I've learned in my 20s kind of thing. Okay, so Instagram started. And yeah, there's been a lot of talk about it already, so I don't want to repeat myself. But for me, I still don't know how I feel about Instagram. Honestly, the algorithm hates me. They show my posts to maybe 50 people. It's shameful. I don't know why. Maybe because I don't know how to play the game. I don't like doing marketing. I'm better at being impulsive, and like I just pour myself out. So that's what I'm good at. I'm good at being instinctive, and just whenever I get a message, I just like boom, I vomit. So I think for that, YouTube is a lot better. I know when I want to sit down and make a video, and then I put it out there, and whoever is interested, they see it. Instagram, it's like, first of all, they only show it to a very limited amount of people. Then those people are kind of pressured to like it and comment it, because otherwise you don't get as many views, or you don't get anything out of it. It's like you don't get anything out of it. You're just being an exhibitionist for the sake of it. Or if you have something to sell, then I guess you are, if you're a brand or whatever, then it's just a marketing, it's just advertising. And that's okay, I'm okay with that, but I don't enjoy it. And I also don't enjoy seeing how other people have edited pictures of themselves looking beautiful. It's just, I struggle, because some people I really want to see, and a lot of friends or people that I have met online, I really do like seeing their pictures. And yeah, people that I admire or whatever, but there's just so much advertising has become a part of it that now you can't separate it, and that's really frustrating, because you always end up in the dark side of Instagram or adverts. So at the beginning I didn't like it. I didn't think that, I just couldn't be bothered with it. Then when it became a thing and everybody was on Instagram, I tried to play the Instagram game for a while, then I got bored of it. It wasn't really benefiting me in any way, and now I'm using it. But to be honest, I like more the stories, because it's more like an instant YouTube, and I like that because I like YouTube. I like this format, and I think all your subscribers get to see it, right? Which is different than with the feed, where the feed, the order of the feed is different. But I think in the stories, when you start playing the stories, you get to see everybody's story from there onwards. I think that's what I like about it. So yeah, I like the stories, and I love Snapchat. It's a shame that Snapchat didn't catch on more with my circle of people, because I do really like it. Again, it's more like stories, and it feels more like a closed private group. I don't like the stalking going on. I just don't like people being fake in this whole social media circus. For instance, when I know that somebody, a lot of like boyfriends, ex-girlfriends, or ex-boyfriends, current girlfriends have started following me, I know that the only reason is to see if I'm prettier than them or less pretty, or, you know, just stalking for the sake of stalking. I don't like that. And I've tried to make things private slowly, or sometimes I do it, sometimes suddenly I shut it off, because I see somebody that's stalking me and I'm like, oh, push this person out of my good vibes group, you know, because I honestly don't care. For me, I just want good vibes, and I don't mind haters at all because it's just stupid. I don't take it to heart. I don't care. But I want to keep it moderately private, or with something interesting or something funny to say. You know, you don't have to kiss my ass. I'm not like that at all. But just, I want there to be some substance. That's what I like. And I don't find a lot of substance in Instagram. So yeah, I don't know what will happen to it, because I feel like we're forced to use it, especially if we have something to sell. Which now, I guess with the jewelry, I do have something to sell. But before I didn't really, so I don't know. For attention just doesn't feed me anymore. I think that's what I've come to realize. It just, and honestly, people think that I'm obsessed with myself and with photographing myself. The reason why I use myself is because I have myself. I have this body. It's easy. Whenever I want to create an image of a person, you have no idea how much I've had to fight to get people to pose for me or model for me. It's just not worth it. Whereas when you have yourself, then you can do it. You can do it immediately. You can do it when you want. You don't have to convince anybody else to get naked or wear this or wear that, or, oh, why are we doing it? How is this going to be published? Then they don't want the photo published. It's just a fucking nightmare. So I use myself because it's an easy way to show something, an emotion, a piece of clothing, makeup, just anything. You know, I use myself and I'm in love with myself. Who isn't in love with themselves? You know, this is not even a conversation. It's just like we all think that we are the most important thing for ourselves, and that's it. But that doesn't have any repercussion in the stuff that I make. If I make something, it's because I think that it could have some value. It's not because I'm in love with myself. I wouldn't put that out into the world. I wouldn't put out a selfie that I don't think has any... I want to create something new. I don't just want to show you a picture where I look like a mannequin. I don't see any value in that. Unless it's it has something that is of interest to me, you know? Anyway, this is getting complicated. Artistically, this has been the decade, and I mean, honestly, I've changed so much in the last year that I could make a whole video about the last year. But artistically, this has been development and really just confidence. I have gained confidence to say what I mean and do what I want and mean what I do, and there is no price for that. And I have realized that when people talk about you, they're really talking about themselves. Gossip has zero value to me. I have realized that when people tell you something about yourself that's a criticism, most often than not, and I hate saying this because I want to say that I invite constructive criticism, and I do, but more often than not, they are talking about themselves and they are mirroring themselves. And especially with your family, like I have gone through a lot of therapy with my family because I come from a really difficult family. But anyway, you have to keep thinking that, and it's a shame that I just can't communicate it enough, because it's something that just has to click, and it has clicked for me this year finally, and I'm happier and I understand things now. And it just, when somebody says something that I know doesn't have anything to do with me, you know, it's the most frustrating thing. Those kind of criticisms that make you feel like you're going crazy because they're just not true. Like, imagine that you're the kind of person, like I'm the kind of person, I'm never late. I don't like to be late. I don't like to keep people waiting. I'm always usually early. So if somebody criticizes me for being late, there's just something in my brain that goes because it just doesn't, it's just not what I am at all. I'm just not that person. So to be blamed for something that you're not, and my family constantly does that. Constantly, it's like never ending, always being blamed for things that I didn't do, and it just drives you insane. whenever you get that kind of criticism, you just have to know that that person is talking about themselves. And if you analyze that person a little bit, you will realize that they have just been so accurate describing themselves that it will make you laugh, and you will keep walking your way and never turning back. Be yourself is something that I have learned. And I also used to be really kind of precious about, like, artistically what I thought my direction was, and just like everybody, just trying to listen to people's advice, you know, and just trying to be like, oh, this is my direction and this is what I'm doing, and my mind is a little scattered, but I have to remember that this is what I'm doing. No, embrace everything you're doing, because you have one life. And I have learned that I don't care if people tell me that I am scattered or that I'm doing too many things at once. I am the kind of person, I do too many things at once. And if I allow myself to do that many things at once, trust me, in the end it all comes together and it makes sense. And that's what's been happening with me. All the things that I was doing at once, it may not be obvious from the outside, but in my head they were really, it was just a labyrinth of chaos, and now it all makes sense, and I'm so happy that I did them. So that has been a decade of exploration and discovery and conclusion. Also, I started the decade really into makeup, and actually 2010 I think marks my YouTube anniversary. Possibly 2010, I think I was creating some music videos. I think it was maybe 2011 when I actually started. I was making videos about makeup at the beginning and shopping. I went through a huge shopping addiction, which you obviously witnessed. I mean, it was really unforgettable. And I'm still dealing with the consequences. I've had so many storage facilities. I won that fight, and I can safely say that I don't have a shopping addiction anymore. And I'm so glad. But I also want to say that I don't reject it either. And I don't reject stuff the way a lot of people do. I understand minimalism. I understand that I don't need that stuff. I am so happy when I travel with just a suitcase. But I also think that the things that I love, to have the things that I love around me, physical things, they have a really good vibration, they make me feel secure, and there's a reality to it. You know, it's not just an illness. Talismans, the talismans that I'm creating, and this can be applied to anything, your favorite, you know, the lucky knickers kind of thing. I think that's the spirit behind things that make you feel good. It's just there's some magic to certain objects, and I'm a collector, and I always will be, and I will always defend excess over minimalism. No matter how much I understand minimalism and I like it and I could live with it and I can live with it, and I kind of want to be in an empty room and then go into a massive wardrobe full of stuff. And I will never reject that. I think I've learned that that's just who I am, and I embrace it. And if I can't afford to have a lot of stuff, or to have, you know, because the thing with collecting stuff is you have to keep all of your stuff clean and organized and tidy, and there needs to be space for it, other than the space that you need for living, which is a lot of space. You know, I don't like to be crowded with stuff. I already live way too crowded for my own good. I don't like that. But I also don't reject the stuff, and ideally what would be an ideal life for me is to be able to have as much stuff as I want and I need, things that make me happy. I mean, not too much. I don't want to sound like I want a mansion full of stuff, but just like a few rooms of stuff, maybe. A healthy amount of stuff, you know, like a walk-in wardrobe or something like that. Stuff that I always know how much I have, and I always know what I have, and it's organized, and everything is impeccably clean. That's so important. That's fundamental, and that's the thing that people who love clutter don't have, or people, you know, people who are hoarders. I realized that I like my stuff, and if I can just have my stuff and have it organized and clean, then that's healthy, and I'm very happy with that. And if I can't, then I'm okay with that too. Maybe I can't afford to have so much stuff, and I'll be okay with that. But ideally, I do like my stuff. I also, this decade, I learned to live without makeup. That's where I was going with that. So I started with a obsession with makeup, which actually my makeup obsession started back in 2006, I think. Yeah, 2015 is when I started really wearing makeup. And at first, again, I was trying to execute how I felt inside, outside, which got me a lot of attention. So I was wearing white foundation. I am a goth at heart, but I keep it inside, and I'm quite happily I keep it inside, you know. So I was wearing coal eyes always, white face. Then I was wearing hugely dark deep tan a la Christina Aguilera. I'm a very extremist. So first I was white, then I was black. I went through everything. I never tinted my hair because I like my hair color and I don't want to mess it up, but I went through everything that I could other than hair tinted. I wore, you know, underwear as outerwear. I did the Madonna thing, I did the sex thing. I went through a stage where, this was not really in this decade, this was even before. I was a crazy child. I wanted to be a porn star pretty much since I was born. So I've gone through many different stages, but to keep within this decade, I went on makeup, I did everything, blue lipstick, no, that was before. Anyway, I made the makeup thing, and then I went off makeup. And this year, I think, or last year, they were the first years, maybe also because my acne disappeared. I suffered a lot with acne for a while in this decade. So halfway through the decade, my acne disappeared and my whole life changed. Because honestly, I couldn't deal with it. I understand, you know, people who are dealing with acne, it's just, it ruins your life. The day that I had it, I didn't want to see anybody. I become a recluse. I couldn't do anything, and that's why I was wearing so much makeup. That's how I kind of started to get into foundation, because I needed to cover stuff. But anyway, once that was over, I managed to embrace my face without makeup. And when you don't wear makeup for a while, then everything sits better and your face looks better. I don't know what it is about it. It's just some sort of magic. When you take everything off, then slowly the contours of your face start having more life and more vibrancy. And I swear there's something about sunlight to it, because when I started not wearing so much sunscreen, which I did for a while, and now I only wear, you know, I wear foundation under my eyes because I want to keep that protected, and the foundation has mineral protection. So I always wear foundation. We had a battery situation, I'm sorry. Okay, so anyway, end of the bottom line is that when I haven't worn a sunscreen or makeup on my face, like right now I'm not wearing anything except lipstick, and I just feel like the face starts looking better. Honestly, it starts looking more natural. And maybe you get used to it, but I honestly think there is a physical difference that you can tell, that you look more healthier. And you know how sometimes when you wear makeup every day and then you don't wear makeup, people tell you that you look tired? I don't think I look tired anymore without makeup, especially since I tint my eyelashes. But no, seriously, I think it helps. So this decade I have learned that I don't have to wear makeup if I don't so desire. Okay, hipster cultures. So I moved to many places in this decade. I've been living in Camden, then I moved to Shoreditch, then I was living in South Kensington before during my shopping addiction, then I moved to Camden, then I moved to Shoreditch. And this has been the decade where hipster culture has really taken off in those last areas that I was at, Shoreditch and now Dalston. I live in the epicenter of hipster culture. Now, things that I like about hipster culture, I love the coffee options. Like, when I say coffee, I mean just coffee shops, because I don't actually drink coffee. Though I did get into coffee for a few years, thanks to All Press Coffee, the New Zealand or Australian coffee roasters, which are just beyond anything. So I did love coffee for a while, but either way, I loved coffee shops. I love the coffee culture, you know, just sitting. Because it's kind of like the Italian or Spanish culture, you know, sitting down for merienda, which is something that you don't do in London very much. Just being in the sun or in a little table, or like French culture, I guess, is also like that. Sit, you have a coffee or you have a tea, in my case. Avocado toast, I love. There's just all these cliches that I do really like. Healthy stuff in general. I think it has developed within very few years, because it started with a lot of fads and I went through them all. Veganism, I've done it. Soups, juicing, I've done it. And I think we have conjunctively finally reached a stage where we kind of know, like I did the 5-2 diet, where you only eat 500 calories for 2 days a week. And now it's just become established that it's healthy to eat fresh, healthy food. We have become ecologically mindful in a natural, healthy way. We've gone through the fads and we have assimilated them. And I'm so happy to say that at least I am in peace with what works for me. And like healthy wise, I know that I just need to eat variety, and I know what I shouldn't eat and what I should eat, and you know, not eat too late at night, and all of the things that we should have known anyway. Yeah, that whole development, the course that we had to run with that, I feel like it's been run, at least in London where I live. I guess other places like Ibiza is still Valencia and other places in Spain are still struggling. I think many other places in the world are still struggling, but I think in London we've gotten there. Things that I still hate about the hipster culture, and I always will, the whole snobbish around it, the whole, you know, people needing to look poor when they're obviously rich, because the prices in the area are just like, they're charging me £380 for a cup of tea, or coffee is usually even more, and they are looking down at your handbag or whatever. It's just like, come on. Or like if you try to be a bit put together, which I love being sophisticated, and it's like there's a fight with sophistication, when precisely what this culture is about, and what I like about this culture, is the sophistication behind it. It is a sophisticated culture. It's based on sophistication. That's what it is. The whole aura of sitting down and enjoying something, it's pure hedonism, and yet they seem to be in a fight with it. It just doesn't make sense. So the hypocrisy behind it, I think that's also something we already recognize, but I know some people don't. I don't like that. I also hate the beards. Oh my god, such a hard time whenever a boyfriend has gotten a beard. It's just hate the beards on everybody. Please get rid of the beards. Oh, you know, one thing that I love about now, and how the whole course of this decade, YouTube is now cool, which when I started, I didn't know what to do to hide myself from YouTube. I started with sunglasses all the time. I didn't tell anybody about having YouTube. Now, I am embracing YouTube. Now all the coolest celebrities are YouTubers, because just that's what you do now. And I love that, because I have always loved making videos for myself in any platform that was available. You know, the joke about you wouldn't post that picture, you know, you wouldn't print that picture onto a photograph and give it to somebody. I did actually take kind of YouTube videos, or just videos with myself, and I would email them to all my friends. I would have a mailing list. So that's something that I've always done. I have no shame. In school, like, I had a website and I would advertise it to everybody. That's all I could do, you know. Back then the internet wasn't even available in homes, and I got banned from the school. From, you know, computers couldn't access my website because there was nudity in it. That's how bad I was. Oh, there's no phones with buttons anymore. I used to be so into my BlackBerry, and you know what, I still miss that because I hate typing on the phone. And nowadays, where everything is on the phone, even like bank transfers, writing to people, like professional contacts, they all want to be contacted by WhatsApp. It's like, can I write to you an email? Because I hate writing on WhatsApp, and I use WhatsApp web half of the time. But it's just the whole, I need the buttons because you don't need to look at the screen when you're writing with buttons. But when you're writing on the screen, you have to be looking at the screen. And I end up with such a headache. I hate it. I hate screens. I hope in the next decade, these are my hopes for the next decade, and I'm gonna ask you also, what are your hopes for the next decade? One of my hopes is get rid of the freaking screens. Just make it happen. Give me a phone that has a screen like a Kindle, where you don't feel it as a screen, you know, the light from the screen just gives me such a headache. I hate it. Yeah, so I've finished with all my like decade things that I loved this decade and my personal development from this decade. Please let me know what are yours and what you think has changed you, maybe, and some predictions. Okay, so a big prediction. This is something that everybody knows. I think everybody's gonna be a sole trader. I think we've pretty much found out that being a big corporate or working in a big corporate company doesn't work. We don't like being in offices. I have never really been in an office. I've done other odd jobs, but an office has never been one. Couldn't do it. And another thing that I think is really gonna change is of relationships. This is also something that I have been talked about. I think we're gonna become more open without the need of talking about it. So it's happening already. You know, you have interactions with many different people at many different levels. Call it what you want. A lot of the time, those interactions may get intimate, either emotionally or physically. And I just think that happens. And I think at some point, we're gonna have to embrace it. Like we did before the 50s. People were having extramarital affairs. Everybody had a mistress. I don't like talking about it. And I don't think we should. I just think it's natural to have a network of friends and family and people who support you and your family and your people, and who there's love behind it, you know. There's not guilt, and the whole cheating culture shouldn't be a thing, because cheating shouldn't be a thing if cheating was not called cheating. You know what I mean? If it was just embraced that cheating doesn't exist, I honestly don't think people would even cheat that much. I think it's a bit of a challenge now. It's something that gives you a high because it's prohibited. I think the moment you don't prohibit it, then it's natural, and then if it happens, you go through it in any way you need. I think 99% of the time people won't have to go through it because it's not a challenge anymore, and it's not a taboo anymore, and you don't have a word for it, and you don't talk about it, and you have many different friends that can help you take care of your network and your home, and just people doing more favors for each other, how it used to be. I think we need to go back a bit to that. You know, growing your own stuff, all this is becoming cool again. I love that, and that's how I really want to live my life. I don't know if it's possible in London, but it's becoming a reality that you understand that nature is necessary, and in the same way that nature is necessary, tribes are necessary, a big group of people is necessary. You can't have a healthy existence depending just in one person. It's too much codependency. If you don't want to have sex with more than one person, don't. You don't even need to have sex with anybody. You know, it's just, there shouldn't be all these rules. I have strong beliefs about that as well, because I don't think that I have to be told that a healthy couple relationship is one where I need to be somebody else's sex slave. I don't think that's it. Okay, if I want to have sex with them, then that's great. If I don't want to have sex with them, then that's great too. I will do whatever I want to do and whatever feels natural to me in each moment in time. I don't respond to anybody's idea of what's natural or what's unnatural, or the frequency that's natural to do one thing or the other. You know, like for me, it's natural to sing every day and to have a freaking music concert every day. Maybe that's not natural in other relationships. Maybe in their relationships, something else is natural. Nobody's gonna tell me what's natural, and I'm gonna end here because it's the second time my camera dies. I hate this camera battery, seriously. So anyway, find me wherever, you know, you can find me, like Snapchat, Instagram, follow me, subscribe. We gotta go. Okay, bye. Read the description. I'll put more information down there. See you later. Love you.